Hello, I'm Sally. Again, we have another question, and our question is a really broad one today. It's why can't I sleep? And generally, there are two or possibly three basic reasons why you can't sleep. The first one is physical, the things that one is processing in the body, either food, thoughts, or beliefs. And the second one is emotional judgments, thriving, striving, pushing. That's the second reason. Those are the two basic broad categories. Now, in that one, the person that asked me why they can't sleep, it is a combination of both, which generally is usually the case. So this is what goes on in our world. We are taught either through social media by our parents or whatever to be excellent, right? To strive for a certain level of excellent. Or we give up and we go in the other direction and we strive for a certain level of staticness. And generally those people sleep pretty well, unless of course, they're sick. So let's go to the first one, physical. Processing. The physical body has to process a lot of things. It has to process the food that you give it. It has to process the activity that you give it. It has to process the toxins that you give it, drugs, alcohol, bad air, negative thoughts. And it also has to process your drives, your pushes, your expectations. So when we sleep is when we process all that. And if we're not sleeping or we're delaying sleep, then it builds up and isn't processed. Remember, you need to go to bed because you need to keep growing. That's what my parents used to say at 7:30 when I was a little kid. You got to go to bed so you can grow tall. And it's true. Our body rests, repairs, rejuvenates during our sleep. That's what sleep is for. If we didn't need to rest, rejuvenate, and repair, nobody would ever sleep. But we need to do those things. So let's break down our physical stressors. And everybody knows this, when you eat heavily, food that is high in either sugar or fats late at night, or both, it tends to disrupt your sleep because your stomach is working at it. But that's not the only thing. Think about what you put in your body during the day. Have you put in a lot of caffeine? Clearly that prevents sleep. Have you put in a lot of have to, shoulds, and musts? Clearly that disrupts sleep. So let's do a little self-diagnosis. If you find yourself awake at night, try to remember the very last thought before you woke up. Because it's a thought that wakes you up. Sometimes you're not conscious of it, and sometimes you are. If you're waking up at the same time every single day, this is your body giving you an indicator. Frequently, the meridians that process toxins are active at night, clearly, because that's when you are processing your toxins. So your stomach meridian, your lung meridian, your kidney meridian, gallbladder, all these things that process toxins. And the gallbladder is just the name of it. It's much more involved. And those of you that understand Chinese medicine understand what I mean by that. But you'll notice that your toxin meridians are active during night. So if you want to sleep better, excuse me, eat cleaner. Yes, boy, we just added another pressure onto you, right? Because let's think about this. If you're not eating clean, if you're stress eating, you're using that to process emotions, right? And then later your body is left with the brunt of it. So let's rewind it all the way back and let's look at the emotions. Is there another way to process emotions? Why, of course there is. Physical activity during the day. You can process your emotions through the breath. That is one of the best ways to process emotions. When you're feeling very emotional, you tend to hold your breath. And when you're feeling very good, you tend to expand and open your chest. Like that. So find an activity that allows you to move your breath. Now, another way to process during the day, besides physical activity, is to apologize to yourself. Say kinder things to yourself. If you, we're talking about the mental pressure that one gives yourself. You're always judging yourself against the activities of others. You're always pushing yourself to be the best at everything. Be the best parent. Be the best exerciser. Be the best person at work. Be the most, see what I mean? Make the most money. Have the cleanest house. Blah, 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 blah. Let that pressure off, because then you won't stress so much. The pressure is coming from inside. Actually, it's coming from right here. Let that go. That will help more than anything. So instead of saying you're going to do this later, you're going to do what everybody who is very, very busy does. I'm going to do what's important to me. I'm going to do what's important to my general well-being. So if it's important for you to have your children well cared for, then care for your children. But part of the rules of caring for your children is making sure you're cared for first. Don't forget that. So here it is, important to care for the children. There it is, important to care for self. This is what you do. You've got to shift to here. And what is caring for self? Making sure you eat and drink. That's number one. Waiting a beat before giving your children what they're asking for. Just a beat. You don't have to, you're not the servant. You're the mother. I made the same mistake myself. Waiting just a moment. They're going to be fine. Allowing them to have some unsupervised time that's, lightly supervised. You don't have to be with them all the time. You're not their best friend. You're their parent. Children can be allowed to be bored. They can allowed to entertain themselves. It makes for great imaginations. Children are allowed to run and play free outside. Just put them in a fence. The thing is you don't have to be with them all the time, interacting with them all the time. You can take a moment for yourself. You're allowed. Okay? Millions of people survived millions of years without having their parents wait on them hand and foot. I guarantee it. Now, the next thing, how to take care of yourself. Self-care is pretty simple. If you're tired, sit down. If you're thirsty, drink water. If you're hungry, eat food. Simple self-care. If you're pressuring yourself, cut it out. You can only do what you can do. And nobody's going to write on your tombstone, she kept a beautiful, clean house. Nobody. Not one person. Okay? They're going to remember you for the social interactions that you had. Okay? For how much you shared of yourself, rather than how well you exercised, how beautifully you kept your house, how perfectly you worked. Nobody's going to notice that. Nobody. They're only going to notice how much you shared of yourself with your love and your connections. One of the basic needs of human care is to have connection. Humans need food, shelter, water, activity, but they also need connection. They need acts of service. And so an act of service would be sitting down and having a cup of coffee with a friend. That's an act of service. Reaching for your phone and checking in on a family member. That's an act of service. Do you see what I mean? It's very, very simple. But the whole thing does not have to be taken care of here. And what do we mean by that? If all your motivations are based on shoulds, have tos, and musts, then it is not a true place of your heart. And then it becomes a pressure. If your motivations are based on want to and enjoy, then you become in flow. So let me say that again. If all your motivations are based on I must, have to, or should. Now we're setting aside learning a new habit for health. This is just everyday activity. Must, have to, and should. then you are working through pressure and force, and you are creating resistance, and you are creating tension and pressure in your body. But if you say, wow, I really want to have coffee with my friend, or wow, I really want to check on, have it come from your heart, have it come from want to. So your goal for the new year, if you want to sleep, is release the shoulds and have tos unless they're dire. I should pay my taxes, that kind of a thing. You may not want to, but you really should. Unless it's dire, release your shoulds and have tos and your musts and your self-judgments, and change it to want tos, enjoys, love tos, interested in, discovery, searching. Do you see the softness in that? Because there are very, very few shoulds and have tos. You should obey the laws of the traffic while you drive. You should maintain things to their best working ability. These are shoulds. But there are also want tos because they benefit you. You see what I mean? So you can shift everything out of pressure and into flow. And then you'll sleep better. I know this wandered a great way. Let's see if they have anything else to say. This is less difficult than living in the should and have to mode. And what we mean by that is if you remove the outside pressure of judgment, oh, this person's going to judge me, this person's going to judge me, I'm going to judge myself. If you remove all that self pressure and judgment, and you act only from impulse, love, want to, enjoyment, feel like, then the pressure just comes right down. Try that just for a bit. If you catch yourself pressuring yourself, saying should, have to, excellence, 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 choose your battles. You don't have to be excellent in everything. Choose your heart excellence and be excellence there. I hope this helps. It sounds like they were rambling a bit, but I think they covered it. If you have any questions, let me know. And if you like these videos, please hit the like button, share with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.